How's everybody doing today? Pete here at Spawn Fly Fish, and officially welcome to springtime. And in that spirit, we are going to tie a bait fish. Today, we're going to look at tying a variant of the Kreelex specifically. So, to get that done in the vise, I do have the 60-degree jig hook, the 3XL long version from Montana Fly Company. And so this is the 7322 in the size 8. For the bead, I do have this Spawn slotted tungsten football bead in size 7mm in silver, and then I've got 6 wraps of 0.025 lead-free wire just to hold all that good stuff in place. And I'm going to get some 6/0 white thread started. 140, of course, would work just fine. Even 100 denier would be great. Anything that really you feel comfy with is going to be the deal. But I do suggest using white. And as we tie this iconic pattern from Chuck Kraft, you'll kind of see why the white thread makes more sense as we go. I'm just going to really solidify all those wire wraps, make sure that bead can't move, because if the bead can't move, it means the wires are in the right spot. If the wires can't move, the rest of the fly tends to not move, and that's the whole point. We don't want a fly that spins around on us. So at the very end there of the flat portion of that shank, which happens to sit just behind that barb, if you look at the line, that's a good spot to end our thread, and then we'll simply move up a touch. This is a very, very simple fly, but it's so effective, and you can absolutely alter the colors on this to fit any sort of bait fish, especially a smaller bait fish that you are trying to emulate. So get into this. This is Fish Flash Kreelex from Montana Fly Company. So I've been waiting for this stuff for a while. I absolutely love Kreelex, the Fish Flash, and I think you'll understand why here in a second. Couple things here. This is a variant. This is not the OG pattern, because we would have dumbbell eyes and all these things. This is a variant in the truest form. So bear with me. Even if this doesn't look like what you have seen as a Kreelex, it is a Kreelex. And let's get it in. So just going to tie this first bit of flash in. And you know where your thread isn't so important as what you do with it. So the key here is keeping this flash under tension as I wrap it down. I don't want any of those forward facing fibers getting back into there yet. I'm just looking for my little indicating spot, and I'm on it right there. But because of the tension that I'm maintaining in this offhand, being my left hand, it allows me to control where that flash sits. So if you see, it's not creeping over the side, on my side, any of that good stuff. It's just sitting on top, which of course, since we're tying a jig style, is on the bottom. But the point being, you have to be able to control your elements and control your materials. And that's what we are doing. So now you see I've switched that tension into my right hand, just long enough to get some thread wraps all the way up to where that bead starts. And then kind of get back into this area and whatever. Not crazy. I'm not going to tie all of it down, but a good portion of it. So let's get back to this tail section. All I want to do now is cut this tail to match the length of the hook. And because I am tying this jig style, I'm going to cut at an angle there. I'm not coming straight across. Again, this is a me thing that drives me bonkers to have a flat line in there. But you do you. If you like that flat line, that straight edge, by all means, have at it. All right. So again, I told you this one's going to be pretty simple. Now, when you're tying this in the OG version that Chuck did, with the dumbbell eyes, you pull this back, and like you were tying a clouser, right, you're going to get this bump, and so it doesn't let it collapse all the way. And then with your thread, you create another bump that prevents that full collapse. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm fishing this as a chum fry, right? You could absolutely fish this as a baby rainbow and all that, and then maybe that little bigger profile comes into play. Well, let's give you a preview of how to do that. There's a couple thread wraps behind. Don't bring all this flash back at once. If you want a little bit more profile, just bring a small bit back, right? Like so. Keep the rest of it out over the front of the eye and get a couple good thread wraps here. hold that up and get a couple thread wraps underneath it. What are we doing? We are making just a small little bump there. Now I'll get the next, let's split this into thirds. So let's take the next third, like so, and repeat. And again, under both of those, I can raise them both up if I want. Take another wrap underneath, create that small bump. Now it's just this last 1/3 portion to come over. And as you see, nothing to it. But if I had simply pulled all that back and tied down, it'd have been a different look. It would collapse way too much. And this is just what we want. So again, when we trim this, we want it coming roughly, halfway back on that tail. And again, I'm not a fan of those straight lines. So feather that or angle that cut, if you will. Great. We're most of the way done on this already, even though it doesn't seem like it. Pretty quick fly. This is one you should go to crank out a quick dozen for a trip, whatever it might be. And so this is Olive Kreelex Fish Flash from MFC. Just going to kind of treat it the same deal. I'm going to come most of the way, like 2/3 of the way back on that tail on this initial piece, and just get it tied in. Now on this one, I'm not as concerned again on getting that big profile, right? I'm fishing this, like I said, for a chum fry. I'm just going to split those fibers around the hook point, make sure I'm on the same level, right? So that flash isn't just sitting all the way on top. I want it slightly rounding over the sides so that I get full coverage on that flash. Now I will bring all the rest over, veil it. Some very secure thread wraps here. If you notice, I'm not letting go until I've gotten the thread wraps down. That's on purpose. I know where that tension is. I know how much push I've got on those fibers. And then once I've tied it down, let go. It's one of those trust the process moves. And as you get into this fly tying stuff, the more you do it, the more you realize that trust the process is a big deal. All right, so now I simply come on top of where I made my initial cut on that first chunk and sort of repeat it. It'll sit right on top. This will have some taper to it, as you can see. Very minimal, but enough. All right, I've got my fingertips wet now. I'm just going to sort of control some of this madness ever so slightly to finish our last move. And being a true variant, like I think I've said that a few times today, let's finish this the way I want to finish it. No eyeballs, right? And there's a reason. It's because I know what's going to happen to this poor fly. I don't want it to have to see what's coming to eat it. I just want to throw it in the water, give one strip, be tight to my fly, and then hold on, because those cutthroat are going to come slam this. So I have right here a Spawn Super Select Pintail feather, and this is natural. It hasn't been dyed, and the fiber length you see is just going to go past our underbody color, that pearl, and into the tail and become sort of indistinguishable, and that is exactly what I'm going for. Let me trim that one fiber here. Do have that tie-in trimmed out, and so I'm going to tie this so that the concave is facing down. The good part of the convex side is facing away from the shank. Let me trim out that little bit of excess tip right there. Beauty. All right, just looking for a couple wraps of this feather. Nothing crazy. I am going to bring all those fibers back and get them trained, flowing back over the hook point, and then simply a matter of getting it wrapped without twisting it. Sometimes easier said than done. And on a side note here, I'm not trying to wrap on the side of the quill. I'm actually trying to wrap on the inside flat portion of the quill. Why? Because then it will lay my fibers down much tighter to the body, and that's what I'm going for. Again, if this were a big rainbow, right, then by all means, wrap it on the side, but we also would have incorporated the flash a little differently. Like I was saying, with more bumps, bigger profile. This is chum fry. This is small profile. All right, let me clean that up a little bit with some thread wraps. There's a nice thread dam going there, thread neck, whatever you want to call it. And it is time for the whip finish. And by all means, I would probably go ahead and come in with a red marker and go ahead and color those thread wraps. So let me get this done. And before we cement that, let me practice what I preach. Give me 2 seconds, I'll find that marker. We'll do this up. Here's said marker. This is a Copic marker, Salmon Red. And this is very simply a matter of not coloring outside of our thread line. This is, if you do, it's okay. Not the end of the world. And once those thread wraps all get touched with that marker, right, that ink travels. It'll flow around sort of. And that's a pretty cute hot spot if you ask me. Now I've got my head cement and just come in here, make sure all those thread wraps get a nice even coat of head cement. Why? Because we just spent all this time tying a beautiful fly. There's not much more frustrating, at least for me, than to not finish your fly properly and have it chewed apart on first take. Nah, no good. Go ahead, do the good stuff. This is where the fun part is, I guess. Let's pop this out of the vise for a second. Of course, I've got my trusty water sitting over here on the side. And just get this wet a little bit. Nothing crazy. And pop it back in for you. And you will see why this fly is so popular. So there you have it. Kreelex variant. A little bit of pintail feather on the outside to dull down all that flash a little. For me, like I said, this has now become another option for me in the chum fry world. And by all means, a lot of different colors available in the Kreelex. Tailor this to your fishery and specifically the fish you are pursuing at that time. So yes, you could tie the baby brown trout, little rainbows, all these different bait fish. If you want to see more of them, let me know, and I'll see if I can put a video up to get you busier on the vise and into more fish on the water. So in that vein, if you like this, by all means, please hit like, please hit subscribe, and we will see you all on the water.